Everybody, today we're going to be talking about one of the more colorful, if not one of the most controversial individuals to come from the American Civil War. That man's name was Nathan Bedford Forrest. He was known for many different reasons. Now, to start off with, he was not actually a regular army man. He was born in Tennessee in 1821, and he had risen from poverty to become a millionaire at a young age from many things, such as trading, selling real estate, but most notably from being a part of the slave trade. That's how he made a lot of his fortune. And then he enlisted in the Confederate Army at the beginning of the war in 1861, but at the behest of the Tennessee governor, he just stepped out and he formed his own regiment. And so he actually formed his own cavalry regiment, and he became a colonel right out the gate based on that. And Forrest was quite tenacious. He was well known as being a very big fighter. He established himself at Shiloh, and he was known as a very good raider. What that is, he went behind Union lines and he wound up pillaging and stealing resources and things like that. And one thing this man was really not afraid of anything. It was actually remarkable how Forrest went about his day-to-day activities in the army. There was one instance actually where during one battle when some men were falling back in retreat, he actually stopped, got off his horse, grabbed a retreating man, beat the man to a pulp, and then turned him around and turned him straight back into the fight. Another situation was where he was in a charge with a bunch of Union troops, and he actually wound up fighting a whole bunch by himself while his men were in the rear looking on. The man wasn't afraid of pretty much anything. Another matter was during the battle with Chickamauga, where he had horses shot up from under him all the time. It's tended to be the norm for many officers who were out in the field, and rather than get off the horse, he had places to go still, so he actually took his finger, stuck it in the hole in the horse's neck, and charged off to get some more work done before the animal collapsed. Now, another matter was he actually did not do well with Braxton Bragg. We've already mentioned before, Braxton Bragg did not get along with any of his officers. And Bragg also suffered from the same problem with Forrest that a lot of other regular army suffered with those who were not regular army. They didn't trust them. They didn't think they were reliable soldiers. He kind of viewed Forrest as a good commerce raider, but that's pretty much it. He was not a regular soldier. So during the Chickamauga campaign, he actually ordered Forrest with some ambiguous orders to hand over his command to an officer by the name of Wheeler. Forrest wasn't so sure about this, and he sent a strongly worded letter to Bragg saying, okay, I'll do as you say on this one, but I don't like it. And he actually went so far afterwards to go charging into Bragg's camp. And what happened was he goes charging to see Bragg in 1863, and he goes straight into Bragg's tent, and Bragg stands up to shake his hand. He goes, I'm not here to exchange pleasantries with you, putting my own words. I have to actually read what he says to you here, because I can't do it justice. It's actually really amazing what a junior officer is saying this to a commanding officer. One of the things he supposedly said, there's still some speculation about this, but it's too good not to share. He says, quote, I have stood your meanness as long as I intend to. You have played the part of a damn scoundrel and are a coward, and if you're any part of a man, I would slap your jaws and force you to resent it. You may as well not issue any more orders from me, for I will not obey them, and I will hold you personally responsible for any further indignities you endeavor to inflict upon me. You have threatened to arrest me for not obeying your orders promptly. I dare you to do it, and I say that if you ever try again to interfere with me or cross my path, it will be at the peril of your own life. And with that, apparently, they say that Forrest stormed out of Bragg's tent, and to which one of Forrest's officers said to him, basically said, you're in for it now. And Forrest's response, he scoffed at it, saying, he won't say a word about it. What he'll do is he'll ask to be relieved of command, and he will grant it. And he was relieved of command in time. Whereas Bragg, notwithstanding he didn't like Forrest, he didn't get along with Forrest, and he didn't get along with anyone, if you knew anything about Braxton Bragg, was that he chose to look past what the pure insubordination that Forrest had done for the greater good of the army. Notwithstanding, Forrest was like in his face telling him off. He knew the good that he had been for the army. He knew that the disservice he would be doing to the Confederate army by removing force of command. So what he wound up doing was ignoring that, and it goes on from there. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop this segment here because this is just one part of the life of Nathan Bedford Forrest. There's so much more that I cannot begin to cover. And in a future segment, I will be covering the events, particularly of Fort Pillow, and is known to history as the Fort Pillow Massacre, through the end of the war, and as a future affiliation with what would be known to history as the Ku Klux Klan that will also be addressed, and also how he actually worked out to be against the oppression of African Americans afterwards as well. So there's some thoughts on that, and there you go.